They either don't have the money, don't have the time, or both. And I think that's a little bullshit. In the past 2 years, I've traveled to Bali, Thailand, Philippines, Austin, LA, Tanzania, and Spain. And I'm not your digital nomad or anything. I'm just your typical 9-to-5 full-time worker who values travel. The biggest complaint I hear about people that want to travel but don't is that they either don't have the money, don't have the time, or both. And I think that's a little bullshit for most individuals. Let's address the first part, money. 63% of Americans can't handle an unexpected $500 bill. Now, that's pretty worrisome. This is a combination of poor lifestyle decisions, unexpected things that happen, shit happens, and also lifestyle inflation, where the more money people make, the more they spend. So they're in this perpetual cycle of spending everything they earn. There's this saying that I really like, and it goes something like this. You can afford anything, but not everything. Every decision that you make, there's an opportunity cost associated with it. There's tons of alternatives that you are leaving on the table by saying yes to one thing. So if you buy one thing, you're not buying the other. If you're saying yes to one commitment, you're saying no to an infinite number of other commitments you could have had. And this is where minimalism really helped me focus my lifestyle and saving towards travel. For those of you that are new to minimalism or don't know what it is, it's where you identify what you value and strip away everything else. A common theme with millennials nowadays is that we value experiences over things, and where else can you experience so many different things than traveling and seeing another culture or city? You could be hanging out on a beach one day and then swimming with whale sharks the other, and then zipline between 2 islands the next day. It's insane. So one of the biggest trips that I've had is my backpacking trip to Southeast Asia. This was a graduation trip that I had, and I didn't work full-time as a student. I was an engineering student, and all of my time during the school year was focused on my studies. But I did, however, work every single summer since I was 15 years old. And I've stockpiled all of this money since I was 15 and saved all of my holiday money so that I could afford this trip. Some of the money I saved I kept in the bank account, but the majority of it I really got into investing and invested that money, and over a couple years it would just continue to grow. On top of this, I kept my spending really low. Because I was in college, I was able to live like a college student, and I lived with roommates. I ate pretty much the same thing every single day, ramen for lunch, and then rice, and more rice, along with some meat and vegetables for dinner. So because I was eating like ramen every single day for lunch, it was like 50 cents to $1 for every single meal. Now I did like kind of gourmet it by adding in eggs, cilantro, vegetables in there, and it was actually pretty tasty. Definitely not the healthiest thing to do, but it worked for me. So to make long-term goals happen, you may have to forego some of the shorter gratifications, but it's all in the pursuit of long-term happiness. So first, to save money for traveling, I'd create a travel fund where you automatically invest some money into that account. Another thing that I won't dive too deeply about was that I was able to use travel hacking to pay for most of my trip. And for those of you who don't know what travel hacking is, it's using travel card sign-up bonuses, which can range from $600 to $1,000 or even more after you meet a minimum spend requirement for certain cards. The card that I personally use and recommend is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. I have a link where you can sign up for the card below in the description box. If you do any of the things that I just recently mentioned, leave a comment down below and let me know what you're saving up to. I'd be really interested to know what your future travel plans are. Alright, so the second excuse, time. Most people work full-time jobs. I'm no different. When I first started my job, I had 0 days of annual leave and I had to accrue it over time. For an entire year, I did not take a single day off. No sick days, no annual leave, nada. But over a year, I accumulated 2 weeks of paid vacation. Now this is time I allocated for a 2-week trip to Tanzania and Spain. If travel is something you truly value, plan long term and make it happen. Your daily actions should reflect what you value in life. On the Friday after July 4th, I worked. On Christmas and New Year's Eve, I worked. I was pretty much the only one in the office, and it felt pretty shitty to be there, but I had the long-term goal of traveling in mind. This is something you're gonna have to do if you want to accumulate enough time to take those longer trips. Another time that's ideal for traveling is when you're in between jobs. And when I say jobs, this could also mean becoming a student to a full-time worker. Take advantage of the time you do have. Between graduation and work, I specifically told my employer that I wanted to start later, so I had 2 months of vacation, and this was when I went to Southeast Asia. Another thing that people say is, okay, I have money and I have the time, but I don't have anyone to go with. And if both of these are true and you really want to travel, I'd recommend solo backpacking. Here's a clip from me in Spain. So one thing I wanted to say is that if you love to travel but you don't have anyone to go with you on these trips, I'd just say book your flights, commit to it. You may be nervous, you may be terrified, but if you keep a good head on your shoulders, you'll be okay. You'll gain a lot of new experiences and grow as an individual. You're on no one else's schedule, you go at your own pace and do what you want to do. It can be pretty scary. I certainly was terrified on my first trip, but you don't know if you'll like it or not if you don't do it. I personally still favor traveling with friends, but I'd much rather have gone than to not at all. So to summarize everything, you may have to look at your lifestyle and make a few changes, set up a fund specifically for travel, and watch that fund grow. If you know what you're saving money towards, it's much easier to save money. And at the end of the day, you don't have to go to some exotic location to travel. There are tons of things in your own backyard, in the closest city or the outdoors that you can do, and it just takes a simple day or a weekend trip to experience that. I hope my experiences were useful to you. I make videos every single week on minimalism and money for millennials, so if you are into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and notification bell. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys all next week. Peace!